As I mentioned, we have Annie and Willie here on behalf of the African American Heritage Club. Well, welcome both of you. It's so nice to see you and nice to have you with us. Thank you.
Well, thank you for having us.
It's great to be here.
You're welcome. Now, of course, February is known for all sorts of things. We have President's Days and we have Valentine's Day. And of course, the whole month is dedicated to African American Black History Month. So tell me a little bit about why it is important and what it is.
Okay, well, Black History Month, when I'm asked about Black History Month, the first thing that comes to my mind is, why isn't there a White History Month, or a brown, red, or yellow History Month? And it's because, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of historians, the history of the human story has been whitewashed and edited down through the years. We've been led to believe, a lot of us so-called Afro-Americans, that our history started when we came here in slavery. But if you study history, you'll find that there were Black Americans here, Black people here in America, as far back as 500 BC. A lot of other things. You'll find that the richest person that ever lived was Mansa Musa of Mali, an African king that was worth the equivalent of $400 billion here today.
Wow.
And we'll find, I look around and I see things like the Game of Thrones, and in the Game of Thrones, the only Black people are slaves. The only brown people are savages that eat hearts. When I was a little kid, I watched the cartoon, The Jetsons, and that's the future of the human race, and there weren't any Black people in it. So I began to think that we have been miseducated, that we've been edited out, and we need to know the story not only of Black history, of Americans here in America, but the world history, the entire complete human story. So it's important to me that we get educated truly for what, how we got to where we are today. The systematic editing out of us has brought us to a place where we're in this complete disarray right now. So it's important for us to study true human history on a global scale so that we can get a true picture of where we are and where we need to go. And to me, that's what history is all about, to tell us where we've been and where we're going.
Well, exactly, and something that you mentioned, you know, if you go through schooling, you know, you start elementary and then you go on, right? I don't think you really see many of the different types of religions as well as the different cultures until you get to college, if you end up going to college. Because then you take classes like world religions and a variety of other classes that really open up your eyes to a lot of different things, kind of like what you mentioned. They do highlight some things that you would not have heard otherwise. So good point, good point. Now, this month highlights not just, you know, movies like we're going to be talking about, but achievements of lots of different people that, like you said, date way back. So what are some of those achievements?
Actually, and thank you for asking that. That's a really, really good point, which also goes right back to Black History Month. And like Willie was talking about earlier, a lot of our history has been left out of the history books. And what we see oftentimes in modern times were movies about slavery and racism. And there's a much more richer history of our people than slavery. And so this month is an opportunity to highlight some of those achievements. And while, you know, people in our community have achieved in sports, we've achieved in medicine, achieved in politics, in every area that every other human being has achieved in, our culture has achieved also. And so I just wanted to highlight just a couple of the achievements that that we like to highlight for the month of February, because the whole month is dedicated to Black History Month. And so a couple of people that I'd just like to highlight. One is Dr. Daniel Hale, and this is a Black physician who performed the first open heart surgery back in 1893.
Wow.
And you probably will only find that if you Google it. You won't find it in any of the history books.
Wow.
And another important achievement that we like to highlight is Dr. Mae Jemison, who was the first Black woman in space. And that was in 1992. She actually traveled in the space endeavor.
I love it. And like I said off camera, I was telling you that one of my favorite movies is, you know, Hidden Figures. So it reminded me of that because there were so many African American ladies who contributed to the NASA program. And so I was like, so in 1992, I thought it would be earlier than that.
No.
but it wasn't.
It wasn't. And it just goes to show so much of our history. History is lost because it wasn't part of the original history books. And there's what's the opportunity for people to learn about our history, which is really American history as well. It's not just isolated to Black history like Willie mentioned. It is American history.
Exactly.
And as long as we leave out parts of history, we as a country are not given a complete depiction of how this country was actually formed and actually how this country continues to run.
All right. Now, we also talk about the movies, and of course, we have dedicated all of our movies this month to Black History Month. Is there any in particular movies that you wanted to point out that you loved or that you would recommend?
Actually, I have a whole list, and these are going to be playing for the whole month of February. One of my favorite is Black Panther, and of course, we lost Chadwick Boseman a couple of years ago to colon cancer. An amazing, amazing movie about people, Black people, and it depicts the characters as human characters, not as savage beasts, which is where a lot of our characters were portrayed early on in television. Another one of my favorite, and this one goes back, In the Heat of the Night with Sidney Poitier. We lost him a couple of weeks back, and so Sidney Poitier was very, very instrumental in putting a Black face to the movie industry, putting a Black face to achieving Academy Awards, and he was one of our amazing trailblazers in my lifetime.
Now, Willie, what about you? Any particular movies that kind of stand out to you?
Well, I like Roots. My wife has yet to see it. I was speaking with Annie earlier, and she doesn't like it. Watching those type of movies, but I do because it makes us more conscious. It lets us know what has been going on, what is still going on, and what needs to change. So I like those type of movies. I was talking with one of my neighbors, a Jewish guy in his 80s that I play golf with every Friday. He had never heard of Emmett Till until a few weeks ago. I was talking to a white friend of mine that's a lady, 80 plus years old. She had never heard of the Black Wall Street Massacre. So it's a lot of things like that just to get the information out there. And then it will motivate people to want to start doing something positive for the human race instead of just the white or the Black or so-called other colored races.
Right. Now Roots is a long one, though. You got to really space out your time to watch that one.
Yeah, but that's one of my favorites because it kind of gives us a depiction of what we've come through.
Exactly. Yeah. And then now the African American Heritage Club itself, what is it made up of, and what do you guys do?
Well, the African American Heritage Club was formed actually by Dr. Fran Williams, who has moved out of the community recently. But she wanted, when she moved here into this community, she wanted to create an environment where she felt that she would belong and where she would be surrounded by people of like minds. So she started the African American Heritage Club back in 2014 for the purpose of acknowledging our contributions, for celebrating our contributions, and then educating anybody about the plight of the African American people. So the club is formed by Dr. Fran, and it meets monthly. And each month we strive to do something educational, to educate people about the culture. And anyone can be a part of the African American Heritage Club. It is not exclusive to African Americans only. It's for anyone who's interested in learning about our heritage and our culture.
Now, you said you meet monthly. Is there any particular week or?
We meet the third Saturday of every month.
Saturday,
Yeah, on Clubhouse 5.
Oh, Clubhouse 5, all right.
This month, we're not actually having a meeting, an in-person meeting. We wanted to be mindful of COVID and the precautions. And so the club opted not to have any kind of an in-person event for safety precautions.
But futuristically, you will have more getting together type events?
Absolutely, we do. And we recently had a huge major event last year when President Biden signed into law Juneteenth, making it a national holiday, a federal holiday. And so we had that. We had an amazing celebration. A representative from City Council came and just acknowledged Juneteenth
Yeah, you had a break there. You had a little. We all had a break there where we didn't have to do much with the COVID, and then all of a sudden we had to change everything again. So
Yeah.
well, good. Well, I'm glad you're able to meet via Zoom.
Yes, we're going to meet.
And now, if somebody was interested in your club, what should they do? Should they go to the Laguna Hills website?
Yes, we are on the Laguna Hills website under clubs, and just click on club, and you'll see the African American Heritage Club.
Excellent.
We're on there, and we put an ad in the Globe once a month to let you know basically what activities the club is going to be participating in.
Okay.
Now,
Excellent.
one thing that's really I forgot to mention is at the next City Council meeting, I believe it's February 9th, the City Council is going to acknowledge again the African American Heritage Club. They will acknowledge February is Black History Month.
Oh, good. And that's on the 9th?
It's on the 9th. I believe it's the 9th. It's
Yeah.
at the next Laguna Hills Laguna City Hall meeting.
Wonderful.
Yes.
That's great. Well, thank you both so much. I appreciate you sharing all the information with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. This
You're
is
welcome,
great.
and we'll be seeing you again.
Yes.
All right, if you want more information about the African American Heritage Club, of course, you can go to the Laguna Woods Village website, go to clubs, and since it starts with A, it'll be at the top of the list. We'll be right back.